This episode was recorded at W.A.T.E.R, 9 Walter Street, Rosebank, Johannesburg.
DJ Lemonka is dressed by Tallboy W.A.T.E.R. Find them at 10A Goldman Street, Florida, Johannesburg.
It's up to you to answer this one. Marriage.
It's a good business deal. Depends on whether you get a good. Are you invested on? Are you the investor? When you pass the ball to somebody who's about to score, you do an assist. You get more V points than you do when you score yourself. We're so used to wanting to score that you don't understand that if you pass the ball sometimes, you made a bigger play, you know?
One morning we all wake up and we found out that Rick is gone. You know, like I doing what?
Yeah, that's definitely cut deep, but it wasn't a shock, you know? But then also I have a different relationship with death. Maybe other people.
Ola,
Shabuzi.
Izuzela. I always say I love this part, like where we pretend like.
Oh, we haven't been chilling for a while.
Oh, grand.
Gimnati, otherwise?
Sharp.
Easy.
And generally, my is sharp.
Yeah.
So now I know where you've been, right?
100%.
But for our viewers,
Yeah.
there's a time where they saw you for a very long. You were on everybody's face.
Yes.
Until you disappeared there, and I personally see you on social media space. What happened?
I guess the game changed, things evolved. I transitioned from, I guess, the main time that I was getting the most face time was probably when I was doing the reality stuff. And then between that and now was a lot of music. And then when they got to see me again was in the music space. And then now that the second break would be in the evolution of what the music space has become, you know? So yeah, I think that's kind of the gist of it.
Great.
Yeah.
Let's go back. Kwena mang, tlhahiso kae, holetse kae, how was your upbringing?
My name is Michael Chirwa, also known as Stilo Magolide, also known as Chalk, also known as Kapatia Morachini, also known as 24K. I'm from Johannesburg, born and bred, born in the East, raised in the South, Turfentine to be specific, Rosettenville, Kenilworth. Those are my neck of the woods. Yeah, that's where I grew up. That's where I'm from. I know Joburg for the bulk of my life, but also in between there was a bit of travel. Stayed abroad for a little bit. Stayed in London for a little bit, then came back with an accent that almost ruined my life. But then because I'm able to maneuver, I managed to bounce back and got my accent back, but also then picked up new accents. So it's it's been a roller coaster, but an educational one more than anything. I've learned a lot throughout my life. You know, I'm grateful for that. Yeah.
How did the accent almost ruin your life?
Because I lived in London at a very young age, and also I've been like growing up. I've always been like into language. Like I spoken many languages throughout my life. I went there when I think I was about 11. So when I came back at around 14, I had an English accent. Because I was going to school there, and also I think it's also a survival tactic. When I was there in school, because other kids spoke with that accent, I learned to adapt to my environment so I'm not an odd one out. So when I came back, I had that accent. That was my speaking accent, that English. So it wasn't flying in the hood, you know. Instead of saying water, I was saying water, so it was awkward. But like yo, I'll fit you know. So there was a lot of adjusting, but I think those types of things prepared me for different characters in the world. Like when you're the odd one out, when you're different, you know, those things. I didn't know that those things were preparing me for later on in life, but they did, because then I knew how to maneuver certain things about behavioral traits. Yeah.
You went there at a very young age.
Vailekile one. I started traveling by myself at the age of, I think, between 7 and 8. Like my dad used to put me on because my dad's Mozambican. So he'd put me on a bus at by the Sanlam building. There used to be, so that area around the Sanlam building, go Josie, behind it used to be like a, I could say like a Portuguese like area. There used to be like Portuguese restaurants, and a lot of Mozambicans used to trade and work there. So there was a bus company called Pantera Azul that used to operate from there. So he would put me on the bus there, and then on the other side, my cousins or my aunt would pick me up at the bus station in Maputo. So that's when I already started traveling by myself. So when I left for London, I left, I think the year after my mom passed, and I left because of that, because she passed. So they thought I was going to crash out or something. I don't know what they thought. They thought it would be best if I left. So, they put me on a flight.
So about your mom.
To Heathrow.
How old were you when you lost your mom?
10, 9, 10, yeah.
And you didn't crash out?
Well, probably did, like in my own way, but you know, by the age of 10, I was already dealing with a lot. You know, my parents weren't together at that time. Like I've never grown up with my parents together, and I was dealing with stepmoms at the time. So I was already dealing with a lot of things that at that time the word wasn't stress; it was just hardship. You know, I was dealing with a lot of hardship already. So leaving was a change that was okay. I didn't know I wanted or needed, you know what I mean? And also when I was there, I also wanted to come home. So there was just too much going on. But it was, I think it was important for my brain, because leaving gave me tools that I didn't know I needed when I was there, and then I came back. That's when I knew that, the world, it's important to travel. You know, when I came back, like growing up, I knew that, I know 1, 2, 3 based on 1, 2, 3. You know, this experience taught me this. So like everything's always connected. So it was one of those.
Dope. You get to London, who's waiting for you at Heathrow Airport?
My cousin again. So when I moved to London, I moved with my aunt and her 2 kids, right? But my cousins are older than me, much older than me. They were working and studying at the same time at the time. And then because I was because I was a kid then, they said no. There's a cousin of mine who, his name is also Michael, but it's in Portuguese Miguel. He was living in Italy. They said he must come live with us, so because we were closer in age, so we can be able to, like, I'll have a friend, a companion or whatever. And when he came, funny enough, we had never met each other our whole lives, but we've always known about each other, that there's a guy who has your name, and you guys are named after your granddad, and you guys, they would always say we're similar. I never thought we were similar. And when he moved there, we'd always argue and get into conflicts because we're 2 different guys, you know. He's I guess more affluent than I was. I'm from the hood in Joburg. I'm from, you know what I mean? His upbringing and my upbringing is 2 different upbringings. Like, this guy lives in Italy.
I mean...
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's already different.
Yeah.
And he doesn't adapt quick as I do. So when we're in London, he doesn't have friends. He doesn't maneuver the space as well as I do. And he's learning a new language. So it was a bit tougher for him, but we did it, I guess, you know. And then after a while, then I had to come back home, you know. I didn't even know I was supposed to come back home, but I did, you know.
You seem to travel a lot, and did this give you a worldview of life, Nje?
100%. Like, and you know, sometimes I'm not a big fan of astrology and stuff, but sometimes like you'll see like an astrology thing that will say that, oh, your star sign travels, or your whatever it is, your dates, like a type of person like this will travel a lot more. And I always just found myself traveling throughout my life, even unintentionally. Funny enough, I'm such a homebody, but I'll always find myself with a trip, either that I initiate or my friends initiate or family initiates, but I'll always be traveling. Like I don't remember a time where I spent a full year in one country, the whole year, without going anywhere. I don't think I've ever experienced that besides as a toddler, maybe.
Or you have a couple of passports in somewhere?
Maybe just two. I don't have it. I don't have it like that. I don't travel as frequent, but I definitely have traveled. I've traveled quite a bit.
You embody everything that we are supposed to be having as artists, right? Fashion, style,
Thank you.
all the things. Like, in terms of art, all these things that we want, you have them. Now,
Thank you.
Let's start go fashion.
Now give me the money. Yeah.
Because as Chalk, you were that guy, Kotin.
Yeah.
Where does that come from?
I always think for me, I give my fashion sense to poverty. I think poverty is my biggest inspiration when it comes to fashion. Not having gave me the imagination to make the most out of the little I had. So after high school, I was looking for a job because I had to get out the hood. In terms of like not even move out the hood, just be out of the hood because of what was happening in my hood and still happening in my hood. So I looked for a job, and the only place, and funny enough, I don't know what drove me to specifically what, I think it was Street Journal. I think I was Street Journal. And I saw I'ma keep, and I was like, yo man, I want to work at this space. How do I get there? You know what I mean? Then started figuring things out, and then I tried to get a job at I'ma keep. They didn't want to hire me. They said no, like 2 times or 3 times or whatever. And then when I, not necessarily given up, but kind of thought it's not gonna happen, then I bumped into Nkosana at Freshers, W.A.T.E.R Freshers, and he was like, yo man, do you still want that job? And I was like, yeah. And that's how I got into like the fashion space like that, you know? And I was never interested in styling. It was like a lot of people a lot of artists used to come to the store like my style or how I put the things together for myself, and would ask me to always help them with like, yo, can you help me with getting a look or whatever, or stuff like that. And Nkosana suggested, yo, you should maybe style, you know? You know, because a lot of guys come here for your advice on that, you know? And the only reason I started styling because it gave me time outside the shop. And I still got paid to work at the shop, but I could be outside the shop.
And as somebody who worked at the shop before, I know sometimes.
Yeah. Like being outside the shop helps, you know. So that's how I started styling. I didn't style because I wanted to be a stylist ever. It landed upon me, like, then I did it, and from there, kind of everything started transitioning into other things, because the styling and just doing my own thing from just like a fashion aspect led me to doing the show Cream Cartel, and from there starting a brand W.A.T.E.R, and then from there like my music, like, but I guess the music was always within. I just never Maybe earlier at the time, never had the confidence to kind of explore it as much. I had to go through all the other things first to land on that and then say, okay, cool, let's do it.
So, Cream Cartel, how did that come about?
There was a casting for it, and at the time, I was really close friends with Mome, and Mome had actually I met Mome in Rosebank, and she was like, "Yo, man, you should do ads, like, you know what I mean? Let me plug you to this agency. You can do ads because you got the look. You know what I'm saying? They just want people with a look, like, and we look different." So from there, we were friends, we were locked in, and I was doing the ads. So there was a casting for Cream Cartel, but I when they casted me or called me in for the casting, I was at the mall. They said, "Come do a casting for this reality show." I said, "Nah, I was not interested." But then apparently, and then I went to the casting as a way to get out of the shop again.
Sharp.
And then me being rude and nonchalant at the casting was what got me the gig, because it was kind of a character that was different from all the other characters. So that's how I got it. Because at the callback for the thing, we were at Bowls Club in Zoo Lake. And while everybody's supposed to be mingling to kind of see who gets along with who, I had a call, and at the time I was arguing or breaking up with my girlfriend at the time. So the whole 2 hours that people were mingling inside, I was on the phone call. And by the time I ended the call, I tried to go inside. They're like, "I know we're done." I said, "Oh, okay." Because at the time, also my worlds, I didn't know what was happening. I didn't care for what was happening. So I was like, "Oh, okay, sharp, I'm leaving." And then the next day or the next couple of days, I get a call back, said, "Oh, you got the part." I was like, "But I didn't do anything." They're like, "Yeah, that's the whole point. That's what they wanted from you."
What? You didn't even try to...
Nope.
You mentioned, Jorge, there's certain things that you did earlier in the game, well, at home, that forced you to be creative because of poverty.
Yeah.
What was the day like when you realized, "Oh, entle ke kgwanyewa e?"
I mean, it's like, you know, when maybe like Majita wanna go hang out somewhere, or there's a party to go to, or there's something happening, you know, and we have to put together like and you have to kind of put together a look for yourself, whatever. And now you're like, yo, ish, Pops doesn't have the means to go get me like that fresh sneaker that everybody has, right? So instead of like getting a Nike or an Adidas or whatever, I need to be mindful enough for myself. What can I get that's practical, that can work, but in any type of situation? So it was either like a Jack Purcell or an All Star, and I can rock it all the time because it doesn't have a, you can wear it every day. It doesn't have a, oh, you're still wearing that shoe, you know? And now you've worn that T-shirt so many times. So how do you flip this T-shirt? Cut the sleeves off. Do you know what I'm saying? Or those types of things, you know? And because of my interest and influences from a young age, certain looks were already like working for me. Because like I always believe that people that chase fashion never look good. People that have like an idea and a fashion identity of their own will always look good, because they're not chasing a trend. They're just taking pieces of the trends that are happening into their pot. So it's like if you're a chef, your style of cuisine is maybe African food. You mainly do African food. But then now you go to India, they introduce you to spices. You're like, "Oh, this is a nice spice. This could work well with my mhodu or my whatever." You put that spice in there. Now it gives that mhodu a different flavor. Versus going to India and now you're trying to make biryani the way you make mhodu.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing.
Not gonna
So
work.
you're just supposed to add elements. So for me, my style has always kind of had the same base. Like when I look at pictures from when I was like much younger or whatever, it's always had an influence of like cargo military vibes from like the Rasta era of Johannesburg, and then there'll be a second part of like a heavy hip hop influence, like early 2000 influence, and then there's the third layer which is like a rock element. Like I've always loved like band shirts, you know. People go through trends of liking a cool band shirt. I like that because at some point I was listening to that type of music in those types of spaces because of the different spaces I grew up in. So it's all just elements that have always been there that just evolve throughout time, and it infuses in everything I do, whether it's the fashion, whether it's the music. It's all a part of it. It's all the same guy, you know.
And the brand water?
W.A.T.E.R, the funniest thing about W.A.T.E.R is that I've always kind of thought I'd have a brand, but I never thought it would start as early as it started. The person who really pushed for us to start the brand was my friend at the time, Mandis. He was like, "Yo, man, let's start a brand," because he was a fine artist at the time. He had studied, I think, at UJ. He had gotten like a full scholarship from Nike. I think one of the only guys that I've ever met that got a full scholarship sponsored by Nike to study fine art. Really brilliant guy at art and stuff like that. So he was like, "Yo, let's do this. Let's start a brand together," because at the time I'm fresh off Cream Cartel. I'm chalk. I'm hot on the streets, and he's a fine artist. So for him, he could see that this thing could work, and I have a strong fashion sense. So when we merged the worlds together, we're like, "Yo, let's start a brand." And then he was like, "What should we call it?" And I was like, "Let's call it Water," because I was like, "There's nothing cooler than water," you know. And then,
Right there.
yeah, so I was like, "There's nothing cooler than water," so he said Water. And at the time, I always used to say water when if like maybe I get off a call, I'm like, "Oh, I cool, I water." Now drop the phone, you know. And then he was like, "Nah, on top of that, let's make it deeper," because he was a deep guy, you know. Let's make it an acronym. And then we made it an acronym. So what WATER stands for is Winners Achieve True Excellence Religiously.
Yo.
You know? So it was, you know what I mean? We made it an acronym. So it was bigger than just the brand, you know? And then over time when we like parted ways or we just weren't seeing eye to eye anymore, naturally as black people, we always have this thing that if it let me go do my own thing. And I was like, you know what, I don't like the idea that we can't hold things together, you know? So I always fought for the brand to keep doing it. So whenever I got a solid chance, I'd do things, I'd make drops, I'd open a shop, I'd do that, even though he wasn't a part of it anymore. So yeah, that's kind of like, in a nutshell, the bit of a story about Order.
I love how you treat your relationships and based on how you met Nkosana
Yeah.
versus how you relate to him today.
Yeah.
He's not your boss anymore.
He's my brother now. Yeah. It's I always believe that in life everybody you meet is for a reason, and it's a reason that you might not understand at the time. But I've got a saying that I always say is that I know you how I met you. So everybody that I've met at some point in my life, whatever it was, right? I know you how I met you. So what that says to me is that, like, for me, Nkosana will always be like my boss to me because that's how I met him. You know what I mean? And I always give him that respect, even though we're cool and we're homies now. But it's the same way, like, even after so many years, we can still be locked in and hang out and build so many amazing memories alongside, like, Old Man Cliff and Sean Pages. It's literally that type of thing. It's like, if we didn't have that, like, all those years ago, would we have this now? Because that was the foundation. You know what I mean? We didn't know that we'd be here today. You know what I mean? Doing this together. So, and it's the same thing that, same goes for us. Like, I don't think you knew years ago that I was a huge fan of one of your first mixtapes. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, you tapped me into a lot of like Tswana raps, like Motswako and all of that. So and it's very important to have those foundations, because a lot of people are quick to forget how they met people. because a lot of people are ingenuine with themselves. It's not for anybody else. For themselves, they're ingenuine with themselves. That how do you forget how you met someone for yourself? That means you were not genuine in that encounter. So for me, it's like if I met you and I was giving out flyers on the road, that, and maybe you bump into me 5 years, 10 years later and can I just pass a shop? That is, for me, that's a dub, you know? So
Making moves.
yes, 100% is growth.
So there's you are part of the, I don't know if it's a group or it's a movement. You mentioned Street Journal. I mean, you said you were
Oh
watching
yeah.
See, yeah.
Yeah. Boyznbucks.
Boyznbucks.
Yeah.
What was happening there? Let's start there. What was it?
Boyznbucks is a for me, Boyznbucks was the Avengers. Because
Okay.
everybody was dope in their own right, doing their own thing. And it was a creative collective that we decided to come together to push a common goal at the time, which is fashion, music, just creative, cool stuff that nobody else is doing or in the forefront. So for me, Boyznbucks was the Avengers of the game because everybody was dope. Like at the time, Scoop was the biggest presenter. You get what I'm saying? And Bubezi is the biggest like corporate stylist, like doing big ads and all these things. MK and Sanele at Nike, they, you know what I mean? It's a big deal. Pigo at Red Bull, you know what I'm saying? I just got off Cream Cartel, you know what I mean? I'm doing the styling thing. I'm huge at it. I'm styling anybody who's the biggest has to call me, especially in a hip hop sphere, do you know what I mean? Or urban sphere. So everybody in their own rights was doing big things. So when we came together and decided to collaborate and push this Boyznbucks initiative, because it had existed before other members came in. Like for example, myself, Ricky, myself and Ricky mainly, because Bubezi and I think Cool Cat and MK and them, they had the Boyznbucks thing going, but it wasn't as big till we came in. Because I think also more than anything, South Africa is big on group initiatives. Like every group, when people are in a group or initiatives are in a group, they blossom. You know what I mean? Like it's rarely that an individual gets the same love that they give to a group, you know, because people like the options of like, I like this one better, I like that one better. So like we still have that thing. So Boyznbucks was the pinnacle of that, you know, for especially for street culture, because nobody's ever done it like Boyznbucks before, you know what I mean, or taken it to heights like Boyznbucks has. I mean, we top 100 most influential crews in the world for Rolling Stone.
For real.
Yeah,
Shout out, man.
yeah.
Hey, that's
So
dope.
it's yeah, man. Boyznbucks was very important. I think a lot of things that have happened in culture for the past couple of years, or the most relevant things that would have never happened if it wasn't for Boyznbucks. Respectfully,
Give us one.
sneaker culture would not be the same without Boyznbucks.
That's true. I've seen your collection.
Yeah, like hip hop, how we understand it would not be the same without Boyznbucks in terms of abantu from any corner of South Africa feeling they could fit into the space of urban hip hop spaces. Do you know what I'm saying? Because if you look at like the history of hip hop, you get like when there was like a Durban surge, Zulu Boy and all of that era, it was just a Zulu thing. And it would be big, it would go national or whatever, but it wasn't urban and cool for somebody from Northwest to say, I like this. And then when there was Motswako, it was big and national, everybody knew about it, but it wasn't urban and cool enough to go to KZN. Do you know what I mean? And to a certain extent, we're experiencing a resurgence of that now. It's separating again. Because what Boyznbucks did was like, we brought all these guys from different walks of life. Like we have MK from Amanskral, Scoop from Eastern Cape, me from Joburg, Cool Cat from Durban. All these guys to speak one language and push one narrative automatically kids from any corner in the country
Can relate.
and the music is easier to now consume and feel like you are part of it because the looks speak to you. Do you know what I'm saying? Like kids from the Val, I could say we single-handedly gave the Val a voice. Like, because before we were doing shows in the Val, nobody used to go to the Val like that for hip hop, you know? And shout outs to D-Toy. He was one of the guys that really supported us out there in the Val, you know? So, yeah.
One morning we all wake up and we found out that Rick is gone. Unole guy doing what? Chances are it wasn't even in the morning when you found out. And how did you react to this news? Did you believe it? Did you?
I did believe it. I wasn't shocked. I was more like, oh snap. I didn't expect it to come this soon, but I always expected it.
Wait, what?
No. Like just the type of person he was, you know. The type of person he was, I've always known like this is the type of person he is. Like he's always been the type of person that he was always gonna go out in his own terms. Everything was gonna be in his own terms. Like everything in his life was always gonna be in his own terms, you know. That's why the way he went out wasn't like a shock to me. It wasn't like, oh, what was going on? Or, you know, I was just more disappointed that maybe the people around him at the time didn't have the strength to hold him much longer or convince him that like we have a little bit more time. There's things to do, you know? Because at the time, like, we're always close, we always speak, but we're like hanging out like all the time, like before, you know? So it was, it hurt because, you know, that's my brother, you know, like that, yo man, I'm talking like we've shared a bed, you know what I mean, head by the feet type vibe, like, you know what I mean, that guy went with me to bury my father, like, yeah, that's definitely cut deep, but it wasn't a shock, you know. But then also I have a different relationship with death. Maybe other people, for them, it really...
How, I mean, you just mentioned that he supported you.
Yeah.
Guy, your dad.
Yeah.
And...
Like, I lost my parents young, so I'm...
Yeah. How old were you when they were both gone?
By both of them gone, probably like 23.
Flip.
Yeah. 23, they both gone. So mom's 10, and then literally, so it's almost like 10-year gap. So like pops around between 21 and 23. But at the time also, I'd not been really around pops for a while because I'd moved out of home probably around 17, 18. So yeah, it was a different, so my relationship, and also I'd lost so many people just in my environment, you know. Even to this day, it's just like it's an unsettling constant theme, you know. But I guess it also comes with age, you know. The older you get, the more people you lose.
Then begs the question: how then do you relate with death?
I look at death as a revolving door, that eventually, like, sooner or later somebody's gonna go through it, and so goes the pain of death. So it's like it won't hit you consistently. You won't be in pain consistently, but it will keep reoccurring. Like, oh, you'll think about that person, or there will be a moment you'll be like, hey, you know, if this person was here, how would things be? You know, that type of energy. So yeah, that's kind of my relationship with death. I don't really... Lately, I've been thinking about death as like, I went to the graveyard the other day to go see my pop's grave. I got there and I was like, and it was like a Monday, and there was so many people in the graveyard, like there was burials happening. And I was like, with so many people in this graveyard, or so many people gone, right? How could you convince me that life is better than death? If there's so many people gone, if this graveyard is full, how could you convince me that we are in a better place than they are? How could you convince me? Like, I don't know. I'm not saying that they are, but I don't. How could you convince me? What can you tell me that? Because none of us that's here knows what the other side has. But if you go to a graveyard, you'll see how many graves there are, and how many people are still going daily. Daily, the graveyard is more booked than all of us here.
You are making me question my reality right now.
The graveyard has more bookings than anybody in the planet.
So yeah, that's a yeah.
Food for thought.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I think our reaction episode. Yeah, this is the conversation. Una, in our reaction episode, this is the What's your relationship with death? And yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
23 is a very young age. I lost my mother when I was, I don't remember what age. But I knew my dad later. And my grandmother, like everybody, just like you, right? I think the toughest times for me were initially started a couple Mother's Day.
Yeah,
Then,
those are tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then later, Christmas, because you knew every year at Christmas, I'm with this person. I can go do my hustle. Come Christmas, I'm here. Your days in Elmas,
I mean, like I said,
especially 23.
Yeah.
I mean, you grow and you're like, but when you are younger,
I think with me, like when I was much younger, when it came to moms, it was like I didn't live with my moms in my woke years as a child.
Sure.
So I moved in with my dad from I think about 4.
Sure.
Right? If I get the story correctly. From about 4. So I used to see my mom on the weekends. So my mom was like my happy space, like, you know what I mean? The less disciplinary space, you know? Because I saw on the weekends, a short space of time, there's not enough time for me to be a bad kid, you know? And by the time she's passed, I feel the void, but the pain, but I also learn a technique that would then later become, I don't know, something good and bad at the same time, because I have a very strong way of suppressing things, you know? So I'd never really stress, like when I see other people with their parents or whatever, I'd never be really worried about how that affects me, because I've never really cared for other people's things. Do you get what I'm saying? The only time it really got to me was when I went through trials and tribulations in my life. And I felt like the only person I could talk to was myself. So that would affect me. Like, I never had a bouncing board for my life experiences. I never had somebody sound from a feeling perspective. Maybe not experiences, but just the feeling that this is somebody that has to feel for you unconditionally. They don't have a choice. They have to listen to you, you know? Even if you don't want to share, but that's your mom, that's your dad, you know? I've never had that. I've never had a serious conversation with, like, the only serious conversation I had with my dad was literally on his deathbed. And he was like, kind of like saying, I don't know, because he didn't know what I did for a living. He was like, bro, I don't know what you do for a living, but it seems like you're doing okay, you know? And with that, like, all I can say is, yo, blessings unto you. And that's like, and for the first time, we kind of tried to have a bit of a serious conversation. But I was also, in my heart of hearts, I was also like, it's also late, bro. It's late, like, anything I say to you now is kind of useless to me, because you won't be here to help me live it through. You know what I mean? Or hold my hand and just say, yo, don't worry about that, we'll figure it out. Or that happened, okay, do it like this. Or teach me to have teach me to have an ego that matters to us, not an ego that matters to the world, just to us that, us in this family, this is how we move. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's, those types of things that affected me. But besides that, because for me, my biggest thing, I always say that regardless of whatever happened or happens in my life, I've done incredibly well. You know what I'm saying? Like, from where I'm from to where I'm at, I've conquered.
Rolling Dolo from 23.
Yeah, I've conquered. You know what I'm saying? And I've never. And this is like, and bear in mind, throughout my life, there's no sad stories. I've never tried to make it a sad story. I've never tried to sell a sad story about my life. Or everybody that knows about me or thinks about me, in their mind, they probably think that, oh, this guy's probably from some rich family, or this guy is good. Like, this guy probably goes to Sunday course. I don't even know what that is. That's why sometimes when people invite me to those types of things, I'm not really not interested, but I don't care for it because I don't know what it means. Family gatherings for me are not like things for me because I don't get it sometimes.
Where do you go at Christmas?
So I go to my best friend's family in Durban. They're like my family, and God has been good to me. Blessed me with family. Like, my friends are my family, and I have different. It's so weird. I have different family experiences with different families that are my family now. But when I'm talking blood, I don't have experiences with blood family.
You don't even have what happened to those cousins?
It's funny, I was talking about my cousins the other day. I was like, when I was a little kid and I used to go visit them all the time, we were great. We were cousins, right? And I'd always visit, like, my dad would always take me to the station and I'd go visit, right? The older you get, you start realizing that we are only cousins and family when I come visit you.
Oof.
You never visit. We're grown now, we're adults. I can't still be coming to your house. That doesn't make sense. I still can't only see you when I come visit you. Like, make an effort if you want a relationship with me, respectfully, But then somebody will say, no, but
Blood is blood.
Blood is blood. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Like, blood, people will say blood is thicker than water, but I'm like, blood dries up.
Water flows everywhere.
Blood dries up, like, and I love my family. I love those I share blood with, but at the same time, I've seen strangers. I've seen strangers do more for me than kinfolk.
This wasn't supposed to be a heavy episode because I know you, I think, but this is deep, man. And I know to you, you're just talking.
Oh yeah, I'm just talking. I'm not even trying to make it.
Yeah, when I know, because you talk like a fella umnat. But man, maybe I'm reflecting to my life because there's similarities and how I deal with things versus how you dealt with your things.
Yeah, I hear you.
Did you have a tough relationship with your dad based on that last conversation?
Give or take, it's like my dad and I, we had a good relationship, but I think the thick layer of our relationship was based on his relationships that he had in his life, But overall, I give my dad the most grace because he was a great guy. You know what I'm saying? A great guy that just miscalculated matters of the heart and matters of the brain. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, the people he fell in love with never gave him love back, from either intimate relationships or friendships. So a lot of the things that my dad went through in those types of environments and those spaces were my guidelines to, I'm a quick destroyer of imbalanced relationships in my life. When it comes to friendships, if it's imbalanced, I'll tell you that, you're actually being weird. I'm pouring more into your cup than you are into mine. And if that doesn't help you balance this thing out or care to, then you weren't a good person to me. Then you're going to start pushing me away, which is a natural reaction for somebody who's there to take. So, you know. But even in that, I still have my trials and tribulations where I either hurt people or they hurt me, because that's just how life goes. But a lot of the things that he faced, well, I think sometimes I also look at it like, even on a relationship based, I'm not so quick to commit long term, even in a relationship.
That was my
Right.
next question.
Based on that.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't be trusting easy, especially with my life. I don't be trusting easy. Because everybody comes with a white shirt. The shirt is always white when people arrive, but before you know it, it's dirty. You know?
It impaired.
Yeah. Before you know it, it's late. You're like, and this person has no plans of washing the shirt.
No, man.
You know? So that that's kind of the thing with you know. But I try my best, you know what I mean? I think I try my best, and you know, and with those that get me, we get each other, we roll. You know?
It's up to you to answer this one. Marriage.
It's a good business deal. Depends on whether you get a good. Are you invested on? Are you the investor? What part do you play in the marriage? Are you the investor or the startup? Do you get what I'm saying?
Hey, Una, already.
That's how I see it. Marriage has nothing to do with love.
Is it?
I don't think so. I think you can love someone forever and not marry them. But also, I think you can marry someone and not love them. I think. This is my opinion.
Magolide.
And I've never been married. I've never even promised a girl marriage.
But are you going to get married?
I don't know if our business is right. Well, because if our business is right, if we know that we got some real big business plans, we're going to do some stuff, then yeah, sure. Let's
Man, it's all good. It's all good. Renakoman Majesto. Okay, let's get to the music. You've cooked enough.
Yeah.
What are you working on? And what's the process? Is there an album that is going to come out? I want to ask you all these things so that you must really obviously there was an intention when you were cooking this thing. And who are you having in this album? And what's the theme, if there's a theme? And what's your rollout plan?
Album is coming soon. I think the date is set for 24 October. I think that's the date for the full album to come out. But this month now, September, there's a pre-order single that's coming out for the album. It's my first album, in the sense of it that it's the first album that I'm putting out that shares parts of me. Like, all the music I've put out in the history of me was trinkets about me, but like never like deep. It was never like deep about me. It was never like personal conversations. Like, I remember there was a time Slicker said to me, "Why do you sound like sometimes you speak in third party?" I was like, it's a defense mechanism just based on where I'm from. Like, you never, unfortunately, and the hip hop influence, you never want to snitch on yourself even when you're saying something wrong. You know. So this is the first album where it's first part. Most of it is first part. Like, it's me bare from the beginning to the end. It's parts of me. The project is called Stilo Magolide. It's my best project yet. It's, you know what I mean? I've always thought I'm like the best at everything I do. I've always thought I'm the best musician, which I am for a fact. Best performer. And this is kind of that album where I'm like, whether you like me or not, whether you're interested or not, whether you believe it or not, you have seen or done things or spoken things the way I do them, because I'm the only artist I know in this country that's been a part of 2 winning franchises. You know what I'm saying? Or 3 winning franchises at that. So I'm gonna keep was a winning franchise. Cream Cartel is a winning franchise. Boyznbucks is a winning franchise. And the only common denominator in all 3 is me. I played for those teams. You know what I mean? Because there's people that sit and say, no, if it wasn't for this, you wouldn't do that. Show me a time where any of these entities are winning without me playing in that team. So this is the first project that's like, that shows you who the MVP is, you know what I mean, who's really doing their thing. And the project's called Stilo Magolide. It's called Bigger Than Perception. 18 tracks produced by True Hits and Young Tune, and Sean Page is also on production. I've got Moti, features Moti from Mikasa, Echo also. I've got a lot of production features more than artist features. I only got 2 artist features, which is Vusinova and Sasti. The rest is...
Did you finally get Boyznbucks to record?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I can see you are speaking freely about it now.
Yeah. Shout out to Vusinova, and it's and that song is like, it speaks on loss. I speak about my parents, and that the song is called Abazali, and it's really more than anything, regardless of how my life shaped up or whatever, whatever they went through with me in it, it's me thanking them for life, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be, you know. And maybe how my life went, it had to be that in order for me to be the man I am today, you know. So it's a really beautiful song. So I'm thanking my parents. And funny enough, when I approached him for the feature, he's also lost his parents. So he also, like, you know, speaks on his parents a bit. So it's, yeah, I think it's also like an unexpected like collaboration. Yeah, I'm excited for the world to hear it, man.
Do you think the state of hip hop will be receptive to it? I know you have a worldview of of art.
Yeah.
But the world goes through the same thing that South Africa is going through.
100%, but with this particular project, I'm not looking at a conversation around hip hop. I'm looking at a conversation around music. You know, I think this is a project that that's going to compete within the music sphere. It's for musicians, it's for people. It's like, I really wanted to talk to somebody in Taung the same way talk to somebody in Ladysmith. Like, that's how I see this project. It's not I don't want to be at a hip hop show. I don't want to be there. I don't want to be a Back to the City with this album. I don't care for Back to the City. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to do.
Stilo Magolide.
You know what I mean? Shout out to Osmic, but Osmic is the only person in that entity that understands what I'm saying by what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Everybody else is there because they don't understand that this thing can be bigger. The hip hop is bigger than what we treat it as. So this album for me is an album that needs to get to the spaces that I can't physically get to.
I get you.
Yeah.
I get you.
You know what I'm saying? That's what this album is for me. It's huge, man. It's huge. I want people to get married to this album. I want people to cry to this album. I want people to fall in love with music again with this album. Like, that's how I see it, you know?
What do you think got us to falling out of love with music?
I think there's been a lot of noise pollution. I think people just make music for the sake of making music. You know how people always say, oh, music is a spiritual thing? Music is a spiritual thing in the sense of it that what you put out into the world, sometimes you're not conscious of what you're saying. Do you know what I'm saying? That's why even like the podcast space is so dangerous, because a lot of people are just doing it for relevance. But there's people who are gifted in conversating and saying the right words, so it doesn't pollute the information that's put out into the universe. So for me, when I say this album is the best thing I've ever done, I mean that it's the perfect conversation between art and humanity. That's how I see it. Like art and humanity. That's like I feel like it's one of those projects that like anybody can listen to and have a take home and say, yo man, I take this home with me. Not even like, I like this. This is cool. No. I'm taking it home.
These 3 entities that you spoke about,
Yeah.
were you the salesperson? Because right now, I'll
am.
definitely buy this.
I mean, I'm the exec. I'm the artist. I'm the manager. I'm the runner. I'm campaigning, man. We back outside, like, you know. Put me on stages in your hood, in your spaza shop, wherever. We're taking all the shows. We just really wanna get the energy to the people, man. Let's put artists back on stage, man. Let's put live performing in the forefront again. Like, shout outs to the DJs, but you know, there's a feeling that an artist can give to people when they're performing that thing, when they're saying those words and speaking life into people, you know? It's very important. Like, we should never take that thing lightly. We come from a lineage of that. So, you know what I mean? Let's take it back there, you know what I mean? And Stilo Way is up there. Is up there.
How many languages can you speak?
I think about 5 or 6.
Ooh.
I think about 5 or 6. Zulu, Sotho, I guess Tswana I can include there.
Yeah,
I can include there. English, Portuguese. I can't speak Afrikaans.
Yeah, let's hold it there. How do you DJ? Portuguese. Yeah, and then we'll go search for me or Sasha.
Yeah.
So you do all these things for your brand.
Yeah.
No team.
Yeah, but it's not no team because I don't want a team. It's also, man, our industry it's tough to get team players. There's no team players in South Africa. That's why our soccer team was struggling for many years. That's why so many of our entities struggle for so many years, because people don't know how to play a part and be a part of a team. You know what I mean? People get into becoming a team player because they want to be the captain, want to be the leader. Not understanding that there's this thing in 2K, in PlayStation, NBA 2K, that I've learned. I never noticed, for so many years, I've never noticed is that when you pass the ball to somebody who's about to score, you do an assist, you get more V points than you do when you score yourself. That blew my mind. I was like, we're so used to wanting to score that you don't understand that if you pass the ball sometimes, you made a bigger play, you know? And I think that's why God has put me in so many positions to be the guy that passes the ball to so many people. But because they're selfish, they forget to come back and say, yo, Lemonka vai. Like, yo, I'm inside. Come. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was nothing for any of my homies to ever feature me on a big song, or any song at that they release and push. But that's never happened in my career. Everything that I've done is of my strength. Everything, whether it's a song, whether it's a video, it's off my strength, out of my strength. It wasn't that I was featured on a Cool Cat song or a Ricky song or whoever song. It's off my strength. So for me, it's like, you don't know me because of somebody else. You know me because of me. And for that, the fact that you took your time out to acknowledge me, is whether it's love or hate, I've done well. Because there's so many artists on this planet, but you know me. Why? You know what I'm saying? So
Yo, man, we need a part 2 when the album is out because, I love your mind.
yeah, appreciate it, King.
Where do we find you on the socials?
Stilo Magolide on Instagram, Stilo Magolide on Twitter. I don't really use Twitter. I just be posting quotes. I've got this like really cool quote series called Normalize It. I post it on my stories all the time on my Instagram. But Stilo Magolide on YouTube, TikTok, Stilo Magolide everywhere, Facebook, you know. But the most active space is Instagram. Yeah, and don't forget to normalize it.
Let's sign out. Casputukisi.
Até a próxima vez. Amor e abraços a todos. Tamo juntos. Adeus.
Adush. Ladies and gents, Stilo Magolide.
Okay, that's enough.